2020 is the end of a console generation, but that does not mean that video games are going to stop getting released. So I've made a list of 60 games that I hope to get my hands on and play in 2020. If you think I forgot any, then leave it down in the comments below. Without further ado, let's go! Journey to the Savage Planet is a colorful first-person adventure game that has you exploring a bizarre alien planet and messing around with the local wildlife, and man, I love exploring strange places, and I definitely love squishing little alien bugs. The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance Tactics. It's insane that Netflix made a sequel to a 1982 film, and this is a game based on that sequel series, and it's a tactics game, so it's The Dark Crystal meets XCOM. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but I need to know, so I have to play it. Luna the Shadow Dust is a fully hand-animated point-and-click adventure game that features no discernible dialogue or words. It tells the whole story visually. I played a demo last year and it was excellent, so I'm looking forward to playing the full thing in February of 2020. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the long-awaited sequel to one of the best-looking Metroidvania games of all time, is out this year. It's launching on Game Pass. There is no excuse. If you've played the first one, you kind of know what to expect here. I'm hoping for some surprises in that regard, but that first game was amazingly solid, so hopefully the sequel follows suit. Nioh 2. When you think about games that were inspired by the Souls series, Nioh is pretty much on the top of that pile. So obviously a sequel is going to be a game that I'm going to want to play on day one, on launch. It is the last game that I had to use my Gamers Club Unlock through Best Buy to pre-order, and I've had it on pre-order for like a year and a half now, so I can't wait to finally get my hands on Nioh 2 and slash some more fools. Doom Eternal. I don't need to say much about the sequel to my 2016 Game of the Year, Doom. They managed to make Doom fun again, and Doom Eternal looks to build upon that in every possible aspect. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. Just give it to me now. I was so sad when they delayed it from last year, and man, oh man, I can't wait to murder a million freaking demons in Doom Eternal. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, for me, Animal Crossing games tend to be hit or miss, and I'm not sure that I'm totally vibing with what they've shown of this game thus far. Also, it's launching on the same exact day as Doom, pending any possible delays, we'll see. But I do want to play it. I do want to experience the relaxing island life in New Horizons, and hopefully it will catch me like some of those games have in the past. Disaster Report 4 was a game that was supposed to release on the PS3, but due to the tragic events of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami, was cancelled. Years later, the original team behind it bought the license from the original publisher and have brought it back now on the PS4. They've added a VR mode to it, and I've heard it's not as good as the first three. I kinda don't care. I've been waiting for so long for this game. I just want to have it in my hands and play it in English, and it's finally happening very shortly. The Resident Evil 3 remake. Can Capcom continue the role they've been on when it comes to high quality releases? Resident Evil 2 was amazing last year. Resident Evil 7 was amazing a couple of years ago. Monster Hunter, etc., etc. So I've heard this game was made at the same time as the 2 remake was, and I'm not sure what that means for the quality of the product, but at this point, I have faith in Capcom to deliver, and I can't wait for Nemesis to chase me around and go stars. Cyberpunk 2077 is the big one for the year, and as I record this, it literally just got delayed to September. That's still 2020. I still hope it makes it out this year. They announced this game way too early, but I have my faith in CD Projekt Red to deliver. If you recall, they delayed Witcher 3 a couple of times, so it's not unusual for those games to get delayed, and man, oh man, again, this is the big one for the year for me, and it needs to break every barrier, but it is launching a little bit too close to next-gen consoles. Curious. Predator Hunting Grounds, from the folks who brought you Friday the 13th, bring you another asymmetrical multiplayer game, this time in the Predator universe. And I did enjoy my time playing Friday the 13th, and I do enjoy Predator, so hopefully those things go hand in hand. Hopefully it's a lot of fun, and hopefully it's not bogged down in any kind of a weird lawsuit thing like that last game was. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Of any game this year that has huge expectations from a very hardcore fan base, it's this one. So far, the preview footage has not particularly looked all that great, but it's out in a couple of months, hopefully not delayed, we'll see. And man, there are large shoes to fill here for this game. Hopefully it manages to fill them in some small capacity, because that first game is a cult classic. Maneater! I've been waiting for a game to play as a shark and eat people and mess things up since that Jaws game in 2006. It's about time somebody figures out, hey man, being a shark and eating fools can be an awesome game, so why aren't there more games where you play as sharks? And thankfully got announced for consoles, gonna put it in my GameFly queue, and can't wait to play some Maneater, and have all these fishermen wishing they had a bigger boat. The Last of Us Part 2 is a game that you should already know if you want to play or not. It is the swan song for the PS4, it is the last game from Naughty Dog for the PS4, and if you have not played that first one, I can't possibly in any good conscience recommend this one. So go back and play the first one before getting to this one. But it looks amazing, it looks gruesome, it looks dark, it looks like everything I want from a sequel, even though that first game was pretty much perfect and didn't need a sequel. But Naughty Dog does what Naughty Dog do, and I'm gonna play it. Rock of Ages 3, Make and Break. I love Ace Team, and I love the weirdness that Ace Team gets into, and I'm surprised that the first two games did well enough to make a third game in the Rock of Ages boulder rolling, competitive building, whatever this game is, franchise. So I'm definitely on board for another Rock of Ages, another weirdly classical game with Monty Python-esque humor. I'm down for it. Deer Simulator. At first glance, this game's gonna remind you a whole lot of Goat Simulator, and you're wondering, well, what makes this one worth playing? It's out pretty soon in early access, and just keep watching this trailer, because the longer you watch this trailer, the weirder it ends up getting, and the more you will be on board with whatever the hell this game is doing. Because it looks crazy, and I love crazy. Alder's Blood is a turn-based tactics game that has a stealth focus, and it is set in a very grim and gruesome world. Think of it like XCOM meets Darkest Dungeon. I've been playing a bit of an early build, full disclosure, and I think it is really well done and really fascinating, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it this year. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. It's been several years since the third Pirate Warriors, and personally I get easily burned out on the Muso style of game, so I take gaps in between those games, and it's been just long enough that I am a hankering for a new Muso game, and there are two this year that I want to play. I'll get to the second one here in a second. But yeah, Pirate Warriors 4, I love One Piece, and I love this style of gameplay once in a while, so I could use one right now. So yes, that is out pretty soon, and I'm pretty hyped for it. Spelunky 2 was my most anticipated game of 2019, and then it got delayed to 2020, and thus it is still the game I want to play the most by a huge margin. The amount of hours I spent in the original, I could not even measure. I own it on like 4 platforms. I bought a limited run version of it on the Vita because, you know, the Vita. I cannot put into words how much I need to play this game. Please don't delay it any further. Just hook it to my veins. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. Now, I loved Until Dawn. I think everything this studio has done since Until Dawn has been okay. It has not quite met that magic that Until Dawn brought, and I'm not sure if they can actually recreate that magic of that game, but man, I love that they keep trying. And after Man of Medan, I am definitely down for a new one of these every 6 months. So yes, I'll play Little Hope, and hopefully it's really good. No pun intended. Deadly Premonition 2. What fever dream reality am I living in that 10 years later, they're making a sequel to one of the weirdest, most janky, most wonderful games I've ever played in my life? You madman, Swery65, you've done it. You've got somebody else to give you money to make a sequel to Deadly Premonition. I'm sorry, a prequel to Deadly Premonition. It's happening. I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening. And yeah, man, I'm there day one. Regardless of what this game is or what it does, I am there. I trust Swery65 just that much. Death March Club is a game coming from a new studio that features the creators of Danganronpa and the Zero Escape series, two of my favorite game series, of my favorite visual novel series ever. So I don't know how you can go wrong here. I think putting those minds together in one game will hopefully yield some amazing, twisted, dark, weird, bizarre, whatever. Keep throwing out adjective stories, and I need that story. I need this game, and I can't wait. The Eternal Cylinder is the other game from Ace Team. It is an open-world survival adventure game, and it's getting back into the weirdness that Ace Team had when they made games like Xenoclash. They had a teaser trailer a couple of years ago, and I'm so thankful it actually went into full production, and it's out this year, and it's multiplayer in some way? I don't know. It looks bizarre, and that's the kind of Ace Team I need in my life. 12 Minutes is another game I've been waiting on for literally years. When there was a video on Giant Bomb that showcased about an hour of gameplay, and you are in a singular room. You only have 12 minutes, and it is a Groundhog Day situation where you can choose a bunch of different options, right? You have the freedom to interact with so many things in so many ways in this room to figure out what's going on and why this day keeps repeating. I think it is just so creative, and any game that gives me a zillion options to mess with is a game I'm going to want to play. Persona 5 Scramble. Now, I have no interest in playing the other Persona 5 game this year, because that's just, hey, here's more Persona 5, and I spent more than enough hours in that game. But Scramble is the Muso game. So again, after One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, there's going to be Persona 5 Scramble. So it is basically Persona 5 Warriors, and that's fine. I like Persona, and I usually enjoy their spin-off games, so I'll play this one for sure. But hey, it's another one of those. Yakuza 7 is out early in the year in Japan and out later at some point. There's no date for it yet in the US, in English. Another year, another Yakuza game, you're thinking, right? Right? Well, guess what? This one is a turn-based RPG. What? That's right. They've totally upended that whole battle system and made it an entirely different thing while retaining the incredibly diverse world of the Yakuza franchise. I am all in on anything this team wants to release, regardless, so you know I'm gonna be there for Yakuza 7 on day one. It's not even a question. Elden Ring is the next From Software joint, and that should go without saying that if you like what they do, if you like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, this is supposedly their biggest game ever. With the help of one George R.R. Martin, it is perhaps their biggest budget for a game ever. And in the past how many years, when has From Software ever done you wrong? They have a very particular thing they do, and they do it very, very well. Suffice to say, Elden Ring is super high on my list. Just give me a release date and I will be there. No More Heroes 3 is a game I don't think anyone thought in any reality was going to happen. But here we are, 2020, they announced this game. Last year, they put out Travis Strikes Again, which was the glorious return of Suda51 to directing a game after being an executive for so many years, and hopefully No More Heroes 3 is the same thing, put Suda and his punk rock ethos behind the wheel for a game, and it's gonna be weird, it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna be there with Travis Touchdown. Dying Light 2. How is this game not out yet? I feel like I've been hearing it for so long, and it has not officially released yet, and zombies are kind of like out these days. So perhaps when it releases, it'll have come around full circle and they'll be back in. But I still love the zombie stuff, I still love the parkour stuff, and I'm still looking forward to the hopefully crazy story here in Dying Light 2. BIOMUTANT is also a game I feel like has been around forever. Perhaps they announced it too early. I don't know. It's an open world, post-apocalyptic kung fu RPG, and you're playing as a weird raccoon creature. It looks cool, and therefore any game that kind of looks cool I'm gonna want to play. But man, I feel like I've been hearing about it forever, so please release it in 2020. That'd be nice. Ghosts of Tsushima, another PS4 swan song this year, the next long-awaited game from Sucker Punch. It's been 6 years since Infamous, and I really want to know what they've been doing for 6 years, and I love the fact that samurai games are back in vogue. Spoiler, they've always been cool. Give us a new Bushido blade, please! In any event, I'm looking forward to slicing and dicing my way through a bunch of bad guys in Ghosts of Tsushima. Little Nightmares 2. I thought the original had some really cool ideas that needed to be evolved upon, so I'm glad it sold well enough to greenlight a sequel. I do enjoy a good puzzle platformer horror adventure type game, so giving me more of that and making it bigger and better is the thing I'm definitely on board for. Psychonauts 2 is another weird fever dream I'm having in 2020, because again, a game I thought would never happen, a game that had to get partially crowdfunded, a sequel to the '05 cult classic, a game that was loved by critics but did not sell well at all. Here's hoping the tides change for this one, because that game was so imaginative and so creative, and I love what this studio does, so hopefully they get a chance to do it in a much larger fashion. Robotics Notes Elite, which came out in Japan in 2012, and I love me a good visual novel. I love the science adventure series from this studio, from this publisher, so any more of those you can bring me. I've played Steins Gate, Steins Gate Zero, Chaos Child. I want all of these localized into English. I will buy every single one as long as you localize them, because I can't read Japanese. Streets of Rage 4. You want to talk about fever dreams in 2020? They greenlit a new Streets of Rage. 3 came out in like 1994. So a total nostalgia play, but it looks amazing. And they got back the original composer, which is half the reason you want to even play that game in the first place, is because of the awesome music. So yeah, man, I want to beat up some fools on the streets. I want to have some rage, and I will be there for Streets of Rage 4. System Shock. Speaking of nostalgia, they're remaking the original System Shock. If you've played BioShock, if you enjoy immersive sims, go back to where it all began with System Shock. I don't have to say much more than that. If you already know what this is, you're on board. If you don't know, then do some research. But good God, when this does well, hopefully this does well, then give me System Shock 2 Remake. Man. Dismantle is the next game from 10 Tons. One of my all-time favorite indie devs are putting out a very ambitious-looking open-world RPG. It's got exploring and fighting and surviving and gathering and crafting and harvesting and hunting, and it's gonna be out on everything, and I just kind of want to play it. Anytime you put me in the post-apocalypse with a crowbar, I'm gonna be on board. 10 Tons does great work, so here's hoping this one is awesome. Creaks is the next game from Maneater Design, who makes some of the finest point-and-click adventure games on the market, but this one is not, I repeat, not a point-and-click adventure game. It is a puzzle platformer horror game, and I'm not sure what that means for how they usually design games, but it has a very striking look and tone to it, and they make some of the weirdest games ever, so I'm obviously on board with this one day one. The Good Life is the other game this year from Swery65. This one got announced first. They did several crowdfunding campaigns. I donated, and I almost never use Kickstarter. But any new game from Swery is a game I'm going to want to play. It takes place in a quaint English village where people turn into animals at night, cats and dogs and such. I love that Swery picks these environments and kind of gives you his view on what this environment is like. And it's not quite ever accurate, but it's always super charming. So I'm looking forward to The Good Life. I already bought it, so you know I'm going to play it. Watch Dogs Legion is a game I'm hoping makes it out in 2020. I enjoyed Watch Dogs 2 quite a bit. It just got delayed somewhat recently into the next fiscal year, which means in between April of 2020 and March of 2021. And they have confirmed a PS5, Xbox One X version of the game, and man, I just hope it's more of what I loved in Watch Dogs 2, because that game was a lot of fun. So here's hoping. Sable is an open world adventure game that I don't know a whole lot about. But what I do know is the art style is super evocative of classic sci-fi, and that immediately appeals to me for a lot of reasons. It looks awesome in motion. I'm hoping the gameplay can match up to what these visuals are showing, because good God, it looks gorgeous. Tactical Breach Wizards, the next game from the dev of Gunpoint and Heat Signature, is a turn-based tactics game. Think XCOM plus door knockers plus magic. So you're wizards, and you have magic, but you're a tactics team doing SWAT team things. And that mashup is just so intriguing that I have to play it. Death Trash is a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk action RPG coming from a singular developer, and that's always exciting, because when you have a one man, that means you have a singular, uncompromised vision for what that game is. So Death Trash from the trailer looks super cool. I'm not sure how it's going to actually play when it comes out, but man, I am very intrigued by these visuals and what they've shown thus far. Once Upon a Time in Roswell, a first-person psychological horror game that takes place in 1947 Roswell, New Mexico. And if you know what happened in 47 in Roswell, and you know what first-person horror games are, then all that starts to click, and it sounds like a lot of fun to me. UFO 50 is a collection of 50 NES-style games, full games, from that era, made by some of my favorite current indie devs who've made games like Spelunky, Downwell, and Catacomb Kids. Just that pedigree alone, and the fact that they're making a 50-game pack here of full NES-style games that appeals to my nostalgia for that era, but using devs who make games that I love right now, is such an awesome combination that I can't freaking wait. Where is it? Release it. I need it. Eastward, another game set in the post-apocalypse, but this one has heavy vibes from Earthbound and 90s anime. And any game that's going to mix up those two things and give it to me on a silver platter, I'm going to have on my radar, no questions asked. It just looks cool. And any game that kind of evokes that style, I'm going to need to at least try it out and see if it's any good. Teardown is a voxel-based physics game where they built an amazing sandbox to play in and then built a game around that. The tech here is super impressive. You can destroy everything. If you played Noita and you know in 2D where every pixel is simulated, here in 3D we have voxels in a similar style of game where everything gets messed up when you hack at it or shoot it, and then you have to figure out, alright, what's the best path? You have to make your own path in this game to get these key cards and escape the area before you die. Megakure is a 4D puzzle game, and I've watched this trailer I don't know how many times now in the past couple of years, and I still have no idea what this game is doing. But I love puzzle games, and therefore I want to play any good puzzle game. But I still watch that trailer and come back and say, what is that game? How does this game work? I don't know. This game might be too smart for me to play, but I'm still going to try to play it. Fight Crab. Look at this footage. If you don't immediately want to go play Fight Crab, then why are you even playing video games? This looks amazing. The number one thing that keeps me playing video games every single year is you can do whatever you want. If you have an idea and you have the skills, you can turn that idea into a reality, into a playable video game, and Fight Crab just looks like a thing that I'm gonna need to play. I guess no questions here. I need it. The Riftbreaker is the next game from the people who made X-Morph Defense. It is an RTS base building game with a hero unit. So think of a game like They Are Billions, plus having a hero unit to attack with directly, and that's kind of what you get here in this game. I was very impressed playing an early demo, and it is certainly on my radar. Body of Evidence is a game I also played a short demo of last year. You are a dead body disposal specialist, so think of a game like Viscera Cleanup Detail, but having more of a structure to it in terms of you have a time limit, and you must get rid of all the evidence that somebody died here. It's kind of like that scene from Pulp Fiction, but in a video game. RetroMania is the only wrestling game I'm excited for in the year 2020. It is the official sequel to WrestleFest from 1991, and has such a weird cast of characters. It has a story mode, it has the official NWA set and guys from that, and it just looks like a great throwback, and we need more good wrestling games, so I'll take anyone I can get at this point. Paper Beast, I think, is the only VR game on this list of games, because I don't keep track of VR all that much, because I only have a PS VR, but it was shown off in a Sony State of Play, and it looked pretty intriguing, and therefore I'm looking forward to playing it at some point in 2020. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. So combining the Battle Royale genre with the wacky game show genre is a thing that I am definitely on board for, but most Battle Royale games, if you aren't hitting the hardest, tend to be dead pretty early, so I'm going to be on this one pretty early because I want to at least experience it with actual players when it is full at launch. But it looks weird, and it looks wacky, and hopefully it survives, because so many games in this genre just die out super quick. Phantasy Star Online 2. It's 2020, and I'm still excited for this game for some reason. I don't know why. That first game was amazing. This has been out for years in Japan. It's been out unofficially in English, but now an official English version of this game. It's free to play. It's launching on Xbox first, I believe. I signed up for the beta. Hopefully I get into that, and I just need to play it. I just need to know at this juncture what this is, how it's going to be handled for this release, and it's still PSO, so I need me some PSO. Battletoads. This has to release at some point this year, right? It's a 2D beat 'em up. So how much longer can it possibly take? It looks pretty good. It's Battletoads. It'll be on Game Pass. So kind of no excuse there. I'm curious, man. I'm real curious. Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Now we all know how Nintendo likes to delay Zelda. So I'm not quite sure it's going to make 2020. That'd be nice. I'm not getting my hopes up, but I put it on this list just in case. But it's more of that, and hopefully more in a Majora's Mask direction as compared to an Ocarina type deal, and I'm fully on board for more Breath of the Wild. Gods and Monsters. Speaking of cool looking grass in a game, here we are. This also got delayed along with Watch Dogs Legion, so again, not sure if it's going to be out in 2020, not sure if it got just pushed to a next-gen platform entirely. I don't know, but that teaser kind of seemed cool, and I want to see gameplay, obviously, but I'll play it, sure, why not? GhostWire Tokyo also might not be a 2020 game, but it's Tango Gameworks, and I love what they do, so I put it on this list just in case it makes it out this year. There was a weird thing there with Nakamura where she was the producer and then left, like, mid-development, so I'm not sure if it's going to have a problem with that or whatever. But again, I trust Tango, so here's hoping it's out this year, and here's hoping it's awesome. And finally, the last game on this list is The Last Campfire. Again, not sure if it's going to be out in 2020, but it is the next game from Hello Games. And I know most folks think of Hello Games as the makers of No Man's Sky. But I've been around for a while, and I can recall Joe Danger 1 and 2. Games that I absolutely love, which is why I was even excited for No Man's Sky in the first place. So having them making a game on a smaller scale, to me, they do great work. So fingers crossed, they come back with this game, and it's absolutely stellar on all fronts. So that was my somewhat exhaustive list of games that I hope to play in one way or another in this calendar year. Obviously, some stuff gonna get delayed. Certainly, my budget might not account for playing all of these games either through GameFly or through publishers sending me copies, but hey, I make a good effort each and every year. I'm Attack Slug. Thanks for watching. More videos on this channel. Tune in for those. See you next time. And I'm out.